your first.
Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. Sport all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Whole sports all plays.
Okay. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I was like, what did I do?
I didn't know what was going on. I was like, what is that?
I was going live on Facebook, so it did all that. So sorry about that.
No, you good. But yeah, like we was talking about, we have, plenty of guys. And like I said, Saturday, you should be impressed with the newcomers. They're gonna come out, obviously playing Texas. It's gonna be hard coming out, but I think once we settle down, obviously being in the shoe, we should be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I like being the underdog, especially when they're at home. Mm-hmm. It gives them a little bit of a chip. It gives them something to prove. Texas is going to have a hard time. This is the first game of the season, and they're on the road. And that stadium, as you know, Rachel, we've been there. It's going to be full of people, wearing the scarlet and gray. So they're going to have a very tough time. For me, it's a win-win situation. If they win the game, then they prove to everybody that they're better than being ranked third. And if, God forbid, I almost don't want to say it, they don't, it's early enough in the season that you can come back from that. Mm-hmm. It's you don't want to face a game that I think is going to be important if we were playing Texas like week 10 or 11. You want to play them now. And I think if you're Ryan Day, if you're that coaching staff, you got, Matt Patricia and Brian Hartline in there now, you want your team to face some real competition week 1. Figure out what you got. You don't want, the Akron Zips, no disrespect, because my kids went to Akron. You don't want some easy team to beat week 1. You want to know how this team looks and be able to measure it and have really solid film that you can look at next week to talk about the good things and the bad things and really develop all these new kids that are getting their first time in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm. And Dre, you mentioned Arch Manning, but I mean, I really haven't seen Arch Manning play, but I'm not in love with Arch Manning. If he was so great, he would have took Quinn Ewer's spot. But Quinn obviously was a senior and stuff like that. And he is not perfect. He threw a couple interceptions, in his starts, had some turnovers and stuff like that. And I always say a player's barometer is how they play against Ohio State. You're going up against a semi-pro football team, if not anything closest to NFL players as you can get. So how he plays against Ohio State, I believe will, be how his draft stock goes. But I think, Ohio State has made a killing exploiting, a lot of highly touted players and stuff like that. So I look at, how he plays against Ohio State. Will he be worth, being drafted? Because I think Ohio State will expose him. I think, he has something coming, and I think Ohio State is going to do what they do to their normal. Caleb Downs, obviously, I'm pretty sure he's a captain, going in there, one of the best defensive players in the country. And, I'm sure the defensive coordinator, I forgot what his name was. I know that Matt Patricia. Yes, Matt Patricia. I know that, they're going to be cooking something up, because Arch Manning really doesn't have any playing experience as well. So I think that this game could possibly, to start, they'll be a little rusty and stuff like that because, Dre, what do you know about Julian Sayin?
Julian Sayin is a gunslinger. So, it's a good thing, but hopefully it's not too bad. But you know how gunslingers is. He's gonna take chances. I'm just gonna let you guys know now. He's gonna take chances because he can. But yeah, you're exactly right, Rachel. They're in the same shoes. You know what I'm saying? He didn't play last year. Arch played a little bit more just because he had some packages, things of that nature. And he's a year older. But coming into the shoe first game as a starter. Yeah, he started 2 games last year due to injury. But coming to the shoe, Arch is gonna be hopefully we pull up some things and put some pressure on him. You put some pressure on him, hopefully we get some picks, fumbles, those types of things. But Julian is good gunslinger. He's more of a pocket passer than our second guy. But he'll be able to throw the ball, all over the place. So, our biggest thing, I think, I know you probably get into it, but our biggest thing is to see how we can establish the run. You got to remember, we had those two dogs last year. That helped us out in the football game as far as the offense. 50-50. You always want to be 50-50. You really want to be 60-40 because you want to run the ball in the fourth quarter. You know what I'm saying? To ice that game out. So the run game is going to be key, especially for Ohio State and Texas, to be honest with you. But for Ohio State to have him settle down in the offense, and for he can do the types of things. We got so many plays, so many weapons on the outside. If you can run the ball, even if you get 4 to 5, 6 yards, that play action game, the what we call fab at NDCL. We threw that. If you guys remember the Oregon touchdown when we threw the little out route to our guy, and he ran for 60, 70 yards, whatever it was. That was two of the same plays. One was a run play that our running back ran for, and the other one when he threw it to the wide receiver. That was exactly the same play with different reads. So we got to make sure we establish the run game. And like you said before, we got 4 out of 5 linemen technically coming back. To settle saying down. If we do that, I think that's going to be great. I would take the ball. I would take the ball. At a home game. Huh?
If you win the toss, you saying you
Yeah,
would take the
yeah.
ball?
I would take the ball. I would take the ball. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people want to go on defense first and all that types of stuff, but I would take the ball to establish, get up 7-0. Have that crowd going crazy, and then put it back on Arch from there.
Absolutely. Make them chase you. I'm looking at his stats from last year, and I don't see that all the games he started and the ones where they had those packages for him were all home games.
Mm-hmm.
We have no clue how Young Gun's going to do on the road.
Right.
So and the shoe is not a pleasant place to play if you're an opponent. It's just
and they didn't
not.
and they didn't play him in the game we played in the Cabo. Right. They didn't put him in too much. They put him in, but they didn't put him in. You thought they would put him in a little bit more, and they didn't put him in. So that shows you something. Like Rachel said earlier when Ewers was starting. Now obviously it's trust with the coordinator / head coach. But that was a Cotton Bowl, so you got to go all your guns. That's that's in the playoffs, so you got to do whatever you need to do. So that shows a little bit of something. But Texas is a historic program, just like Ohio State. So those guys are you can say it now, the highest paid players in the nation. Same as us, we're the highest paid players in the nation. So it's going to be a collision. 1 versus 3, you don't get that matchup on the first week at all. And some polls we're number 2, so you don't get that matchup at all. So hopefully we come out proud, be ready. You know what I mean? We go. We know it's at 12, so the complaining got to stop about the 12 o'clock game. It is what it is. Get there, be ready to go.
Yeah, I know, but this is perfectly suited for a night game.
It is. It is.
The Michigan, game is always at 12. But remember, in 2006, they changed it to, I think, a 3:30 start. Number 1 versus number 2. Bo died the night before. They easily change this, but this is going to be one of the most watched games. I'm just going to be in a bridal shower while the game is on. I'll be like, man, that's a great gift. I love it. It.
You better hope sis don't get you while you sharing.
Hope I don't get caught. But also one of the things is you got Jeremiah Smith too. Do you know about the chemistry with Julia and Jeremiah so far?
Yeah, I think from what I hear, I think they got a great connection. Obviously, with Jeremiah, they're going to do routes before, after, in between, the ball. Because you got to get that man the ball. You got to get it in his, I call it, get in his range. I mean, he's he was big. I don't know if you guys seen him this offseason. He was big as a freshman. Now he's huge. You know what I mean? He's like Terrell Owens' body type, if that makes sense. If you guys remember T.O., how big T.O. was. And he runs sharper routes. Some of the best routes that I've seen from those guys, and what happens is if you look at our history, our second, third best receiver are always have the most receptions. So, even last year, Abuka had the most receptions, 2 years in a row. He's the all-time leading receiver. So it's not just him that has to step up and keep going. It's got to be Tate and those other guys that have to step up. And I think, like I said, with the chemistry, I think the chemistry is there because Obviously, they're in the same grade, even though he didn't play last year. So they came in. Remember, before Nick Saban was not got let go, but retired. They were both going to Alabama. So they've been in the same recruiting class at Alabama and
Yeah.
at Ohio State. So so they got a good connection, and obviously they can play for the next couple years together.
Yeah, you're right about that wide receiver because I'm definitely anticipating, uh, Smith being double teamed.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously he didn't play like hardly the second half against. Was it Texas? He really played against in the second half that much? Was it the Texas game last year?
That
That
he
got
didn't get. You mean he didn't get receptions?
yeah, they
Or
play designed to come to him. Was
yeah,
that in
yeah,
the
it was Texas. It was Texas.
championship game?
Oh yeah, it was Texas. It
Okay.
was Texas. I mean, he didn't get that many in the Notre Dame game. Just got a couple of the big catches, but as well because after Oregon, what he did to Oregon, you
Yeah.
know, if you're
He had
smart, I always
almost
say
200
respect
yards.
coaches.
Yeah, he
Would you
had
say?
almost 200 yards against Oregon. He needed a
Yeah, he
week off.
killed. Yeah, he took off against them boys. You know what I'm saying? So, if you're, I always say respect coaches. So if you're gonna do some mixed coverage. They especially gonna do it this just like we talked about our defense. That we got a new quarterback coming in too, so they're gonna do some mixed coverages, try to get them all screwed up and things of that nature as well. So, that's what I'm saying with the play action, going back to the play action, the underneath stuff, the short stuff. Let our kids get the get the ball and let them do their thing. You know what I'm saying? Make sure they can run them over, make moves, make them miss, whatever they got to do. Because our kids one-on-one are pretty dominant. You know what I mean? So if we can do that, and like I say, Coach, we didn't talk about Coach Hartline. It's his first time coaching too, as far as calling plays.
Yeah, I was
So he's not just the receivers coach; he's got to call plays. And Devin, Devin, obviously Rachel Devin Jordan. Um, he's been good as assistant wide receivers coach. So that's a whole key thing too. When with our coaching staff is how we're going to do that. How we're going to get them the ball and within the game. So that's a big key for us as well.
Mhm.
But that's where the running game comes in, right? You got to run the ball and
Absolutely,
throw the ball. So
absolutely.
if you try to run and you can't, that's going to
Yeah.
limit your options, and then they're going to double team all up on Jeremiah, and then you gotta look at what your other options are. So yeah, I think I've heard people say that because Brian Hartline, it was a wide receiver, comes from that wide receivers coach and stuff. That all he's going to win to do is call passing plays, and I'm like, no, he more than anybody understands you need that
Yeah.
run to open up that pass for you.
Yeah, when you're when you're an offensive coordinator, your mind changes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes, you're a wide receivers coach. That's what you was hired as. That was your thing is, but you got to look at everything. You got to look at the defensive front. You got to see what they're doing. You got to see your RPOs. So much stuff that goes into game planning. And if you watched them, in the spring, I didn't get the chance obviously because I'm coaching now in the fall. But he's run the ball. So he has a perfect guy that he was under last year, under Kelly. That did the same thing. He did it all his career. Kelly did it at Oregon, did it in the NFL. And those run game was key. And obviously we had a big time success last year, like I said, with the two guys. And if you can get two guys running, and I think we got three to be honest with you, this year. I think that's going to help us out on the outside.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Texas? And I know this might be a difficult question to ask, but what do you think Texas is thinking about coming into this game where they didn't get smacked last year, but it was a resounding win, a resounding victory. It pretty much ended on one of the highest notes of Ohio State history with Jack Sawyer running back that touchdown after the scoop fumble and score off of Quinn Ewers. And they didn't get a chance to play for the national championship last year. What do you think? Or you a former player, you play for Ohio State, you play college football. What do you think that mindset is coming in? This is not your Vince Young, Texas Longhorns. So what do you think, Texas's mindset probably is coming into this game?
They played that play probably more times than Ohio State played that play in the offseason. And I'm just being honest with you. They played that play more than we played that play in the offseason. And people are talking about that play locally. Austin is just like Columbus. I don't know
Yeah,
if you guys been to Austin. It's a great city,
I've
but
never.
it's just like Columbus. So it's a college town, big college. So they're hearing it, and the coaching staff is going to say. I always say this as a coach. You know what I'm saying? You always think about that last play. There's only one team that's happy at the end of the year. I don't care what level you're on. There's only one team that's happy at the end of the year, and that's the champions. So everybody else is mad and got some fight or some type of fight that's going to bring them back. And so they're playing it all year. They knew they were on the schedule. So, they probably did spring. I can guarantee you they had 10 plays of practice, 10 to 15 to 20 plays of practice against Ohio State. You know what I'm saying? That goes to the day one in the fall. So they've been preparing for this game since that whatever day that was, that Cotton Bowl, January, whatever it was, 9th or 10th or whatever it was, since that date. So, we better buckle up. They got to buckle up. It's going to be, what college football is all about come Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, because a lot of people are saying that, well, not a lot of people are saying, not a lot of people of importance, but you go to social media and, these Texas fans are saying it's going to be a rout. And I'm like, it's never a rout against Ohio State. I think that, Ohio State will win this game. I think it possibly could be close. I don't know about how high scoring it will be, though. Texas got a lot of defenders that came back this year. So, that's them boys are fast, but we were fast and we were
Oh, yeah.
back last year. So I don't know why anybody would, possibly think that this would be a route, but obviously I'm alumnus and everything like that, but I'm going with Ohio State for this. Like I said, I don't know. It could be lopsided. It could be very close, but I just have a feeling that Ohio State will win this game and just get Texas's number again, because I just don't think Arch Manning is, as great as advertised. And, we're just going to see, and Ohio State will be the barometer for him, as far as what type of quarterback he really is. And I think, that as Gus Johnson says, world famous Ohio State guys, I think that they're going to handle him.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be close. Like you said, I think it's going to be like the Cotton Bowl, to be honest with you. It might be a little bit less scoring, but you got to remember when we picked the ball up, it was what, 21? I can't remember exactly what it was, but, to go ahead, but it was like 21. They were going to take the lead or tie. I can't remember exactly, but, it was that close, that fumble recovery, so you're going to have to play.
Texas,
Yes.
at pretty much a home crowd for Texas. So,
right. It was and it wasn't, because I was there. We still was repping. You know what I'm saying? We had 50, we had half and half, sis. You know what I'm saying? We were still repping, that little half we had, that quarter, whatever you want to call it. We was loud, especially after that. So they're not going to have as many, at Ohio State that we had in Dallas. But yeah, walking the streets of Dallas, that week, obviously it was a snowstorm, but walking that streets, there was a lot of Texas fans there, you know what I'm saying? But we shocked them and all that types of stuff. And with that run that we had, that was definitely the closest game that we've had, not counting Notre Dame's late scores and stuff like that, but we pretty much dominated that game as well. But I think it's going to be close, because you're going to have, like I say, we talked about this all show, you know what I'm saying? Two quarterbacks, they're going to mess up, just being honest, they're going to mess up. You know what I'm saying? We're going to blow something, because there's a lot of new players out there. No matter how ability, I'm talking about both teams. It's a lot of ability out there, but they're going to mess up because, the adrenaline that's going to go on there. They're going to freeze. I remember my first coaching game. I've never done this. You see me play high school football. You see me when I was at Ohio State, and I was very calm. I remember messing up a call on punt just because I was so jacked up. I was like, man, what do I call that? Just kick it to the right. You know what I mean? So the adrenaline in your brain you're so fired up, and you get in there, and you're going to have to stay calm. So there's going to be a messed up call here and there. But I'm taking, obviously I'm going with my boys. I'm going to say 27-24 Ohio State.
That close, huh?
Yeah, that close.
I agree. I'm not just, I think if they were playing in Texas, I might feel differently, but playing at home, I'm going to take Ohio State by 3. I'm terrible at picking numbers, but I'll do 27-24. That's 3. That works. I think turnovers is going to be, it sounds cliche to say it, but I think that's going to be the key to this game. Whichever team turns the ball over less is going to end up winning, because that's where those mistakes cost you, is not just a bad play call, but it's going to be that you've got two quarterbacks that are going to have that adrenaline going and who are going to have all that stuff going on in their minds. And can I just say, while I love the name Julian, it's a perfectly fine name. I don't have any kids named Julian, nothing like that. But I'm just saying, why didn't his parents name him Justin? Then it could be Just Saying, because I'm going to be hashtagging Just Saying all season long. I'm like, missed opportunity for his parents right there.
I don't know if they were thinking about that, but that makes sense. Just saying. Yeah,
Just
I like
saying.
that.
I mean, it was only, 20 years ago? He's not that old. 21?
Yeah, he's young.
Alabama,
19, 20 years old.
right?
Yeah. He was at Bama, him and Jeremiah, which I think Texas is going to know too, right? That defense is going to key in on Jeremiah. They're going to give him all he can handle this week, which I think is going to give Tate some opportunities. I was looking at the depth chart on running back, and we got a big true freshman in Bo Jackson coming in. He played in Cleveland, right? You played over at
Yes,
Villa
sir.
St. Joe.
Villa Angela St. Joe's.
Yeah. Do we like him? Do we think
I love him.
he's
Love
got
him.
something? He seems like he's a good size. He's 6 feet already.
His name, Bo Jackson, is unbelievable because that was my favorite player before Barry Sanders, and he played like Bo Jackson played baseball, and he hit home runs for Villa Angela St. Joe's. So his name, his dad is a good dude. Obviously, that's not his real name, but we go by Bo Jackson. But he is a baller. He's going to be someone to watch. I don't think he'll start, his first game. But he's been impressed since his day. I seen him in high school. Obviously, I try to wipe out high school, what I'm saying? And I seen him in the spring. He went right in there and he fit in real good. He had some of the biggest plays that I saw. I only went to like 2-3 practices, but he had some of the biggest plays. And so far, my son said he's still doing what he do. So I'm a huge fan of him. Everybody knows that in the Buckeye family of parents. I was like, Bo Jackson, that's my guy. You know what I mean? So,
On him.
but the
I'm
other
glad
two
to hear
is
that.
the other,
Yeah.
like I say, the other two are good too. So, if Coach Locke does his thing, and that Coach Locke is the running back coach, if he does his thing of rotations, keeping them fresh, like he did last year, we may not have one guy or two guys have 1,000 each, but we can get three guys with 750 each throughout the year. And if you do that, you're doing a
I'll
heck of
take
a
3
job.
guys at 750 and another championship. That's fine with me.
Yeah, one game at a time, though. One game at a time.
One game at a time.
Yeah.
You definitely sound like a coach now.
I'm definitely. I'm in coach. It's Friday Night Lights coming up tomorrow. I'm already. We ready to go.
Are you at the shoe on Saturday?
Oh yeah, I gotta go. I'm always going, obviously because of my son. So, I wake up early and go to this game. Remember, he's a senior, so I only got these guaranteed, home games left. So, I put some miles on my car. You know what I mean? I definitely put some miles on my car. And then my other son is still in Lima. So where I was before I came, where I was coaching at Ohio Northern in Lima Senior. So they're still over there. So my weekends is more busy than my 5 days a week.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
What's the choke?
Rachel don't know. My husband went to Ohio Northern. I spent the mid 80s
did
at
you?
Ohio Northern in the polar bear tundra. There were days where if the wind blew one way, you couldn't walk, you couldn't go anywhere.
That ate a win and no joke.
Oh,
and we grew up in Cleveland. That ate a win is no joke.
Really?
I barely remember many.
There's nothing there.
The Regal Beagle getting drug home from fuzzy. I got fuzzy memories. It's cold. It's cold. That's why
it's nothing blocking anything. There's nothing.
No,
there's absolutely nothing in Ada, Ohio. Great college, little Division III, great college town. You know what I mean? But that's what it is.
I love it whenever someone mentions Ohio Northern. I'm like, I've been there.
Heard of it.
It's awful.
Never been. You guys, I'm thinking Ohio State is going to win by at least 7, if not maybe 14. Obviously, Arch Manning is the key to this game. Julian Sayin is running a close second, 1A, 1B. But I think Matt Patricia is going to disguise a lot of things, and I think they're going to go after him to rattle him. So on the road, they say Ohio State doesn't have the biggest home field advantage. It's kind of quiet in there at times. But I think, coming on the road and a raucous Ohio State, all the pageantry that goes with it, I think, they're going to get to him and they're going to go after him early. And I think that's going to rattle him. and Ohio State will be able to win by 7 or more. I'm taking that.
Oh yeah,
All
it's
right.
gonna be. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, all right, Rachel, I'll have what she's having. I think you're crazy. I would love it to go that way, but I'm trying to tone down my optimism because I get kicked in the sports emotional teeth all the time by my team. So
The
Ohio State
biggest the
rarely.
biggest thing is just come out, victorious. We come out victorious. You keep those doubters out because they hate us. So no matter if we win by, I know I said this because I'm on the show. Usually I don't pick, points, but I usually just want to win. I'm talking like coach again. But if we win, and have a great showing or a good showing, and then we can rise up because that's going to give our team, a young team, confidence.
yes,
And like you say, we got 12 season games, and then obviously the playoffs. Hopefully, Big Ten championship this year. So you got some postseason things. But if you can build off of that, and we can build for the run, because obviously we know how to coach in that run. Obviously, we got some new coaches, but we know how to coach in that run. And we can do some things. So that's the biggest thing, is just coming out with that victory and move on to the next games.
And
yes,
Ryan Day is a championship head coach now, so
Yes,
no
sir.
doubt
Yes, ma'am.
that he got up his sleeve. But Dre, how can we follow your team and stuff like that?
NDCL.org, athletics. You can follow the team. We do a great job of online YouTube showing on Friday nights. I try to post a lot of stuff on my Facebook if you're on the Facebook, things of that nature. So they do a really good job. Obviously, we're in Geauga County, so we're not in Cuyahoga, but News Herald does a great job following all the teams out here.
Is
And
that Shadell?
what'd you say? I'm sorry.
What's the reporter out from out there that cover y'all?
What did you say his name was?
Jeff Shadell?
No, it's not Jeff. It's slipping my mind right now. He just texted me. Actually, I can't think. John
Okay,
Kemp,
okay.
Kempf,
No,
Kempf.
no.
I think it's Kempf. I want to say, but they do a great job. We play West Geauga tomorrow, so it's a little neighborhood rivalry for the private and the public school out here. So it's going to be a big game. Like I say, we did a great job last week. Against Struthers, was from the Youngstown area. But we got some tough games ahead of us, and we're going from there. But we're building the culture out here. It's my second year. We got some togetherness. I'm bringing that attitude is everything out here. Rach, you know what I'm talking about.
I was just about to say that. I still got my t-shirt from Sad Man.
Oh yeah, I've been doing that ever since then. Every time I'm a head coach, that attitude is everything is stamped on that back. I'm looking at it right now. A couple guys on the sidelines at the freshman game, but so we're doing a great job. Kids are doing a good job. They're bought in. Obviously for me, I got a great coaching staff. That's blessed to have a full coaching staff. What I mean by a full coaching staff, we probably have more coaches than most high schools. So I got an offense coordinator, defense coordinator. I do the special teams. We got a position coach for every position. So, they haven't told me no yet. So I got to keep doing what I do and go from there.
I would just tell you, Rachel and I do a very nice motivational halftime speech.
Let's go.
If you have a game coming up this season where you need guests to come in and talk at halftime, we got you.
Oh, I'm always about to guess. I bring guests in all the time. Not necessarily at halftime, but if you want to come before the game, I definitely get it.
I'll do pregame. I'll get them fired up to go. Let's go Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Something else during halftime, huh?
Rachel state champ, so I know she got some stuff.
Room.
Rachel over there trying to be modest. You know what I'm saying? She humble. You know what I'm saying? She a Red Raider humble, but she got some state championships under her.
She
you know
does.
what I mean?
She's a lacrosse girl, but it's okay. I still respect her.
Yeah, we were talking about Bills of field hockey. So
Field hockey, yeah.
Field hockey, that was it. I always tease her.
we'll
She
thank you
tried
so much.
reffing one year and said it was way harder than she thought it was going to
Oh
be.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, she was
Reffing is-
not
yeah.
happy reffing.
I quit because I wasn't good. I was like, I can't cheat these kids like this. So yeah. So yeah, it's harder than it looks. I'll tell anybody that. But Dre, want to thank you so much for taking time out your schedule to chop it up with us. Best of luck to everybody. Well wishes for your son, as he navigates his senior year and stuff like that. And tell your dad we said hi. And thank you so much. We'll check in with you later on in the season.
Appreciate you guys. Always keep doing your thing. Love watching you guys online and all that type of stuff. Always following.
Go Bucks.
Yes, ma'am. Let's go. OH.
IO.
IO. He got IO right in the middle of his shirt.
Yeah, that was Drake
I know
Griffin.
it says Lions, but you could just be an IO right there. You got it.
Former Ohio State player Andre Griffin, we just had on the show with us. He's going with the Ohio State Buckeyes. We're going with the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, Kate, I know you ready, girl. We got to move on to NFL action. Shador is your emergency backup after Dylan Gabriel. What does that mean?
I don't understand the question. It
Yeah,
don't
they
mean
said-
nothing. It means they're keeping Shador as a developmental project because at the end of this season, with Rachel, you and I and everyone listening knows Joe Flacco is not the future franchise quarterback for the Cleveland Browns.
Yes,
we
ma'am.
need to figure out, is it Dylan Gabriel or is it Shador? The fact that Dylan is number 2, to me, means the coaches have seen what they expected to see from him. He has hit his ceiling, and they will let him go in and do what he does and back up Joe Flacco. They're going to take Shador. Shador's a little raw. At Oregon, Gabriel faced tougher defenses. He played a more NFL style of football. Shador may have been raised in an NFL family, but he didn't face that at Colorado. He gonna need a little bit of time. He is still on this roster because they're going to work on him. They're going to develop him. He's going to build a relationship with a couple of those receivers. They're going to do work in practice and off to the side. They're going to keep him going. And we're going to get to maybe week 10, 9, 10, depending on what these teams' record is. And you will start to see Shador in games. But I think they kept him to develop him. They believe that he has a much higher ceiling than what they've seen so far. I don't think there's a bad thought about him in that building. I think the fact that they got rid of Kenny Pickett and not one of those two tells you that, right? First of all, Kenny not healthy. I don't know when Kenny will be healthy. We ain't got time for not healthy. I am fine with Joe Flacco starting and Dylan Gabriel as the number 2, and we'll see what happens with Shador because he needs some time. He needs some coaching. He needs some mentoring. He needs some developing. But I still, everything I saw in preseason, good plays and bad plays, attitude on the field, attitude on the sideline, everything I saw makes me want him to succeed and be my quarterback next year. So I'm perfectly fine with him being number 3 and them easing him into the NFL.
Yeah, I know you were a Kenny Pickett fan. You okay?
I'm fine. He couldn't stay healthy. I wasn't a huge fan because I believe that Mike Tomlin is one of the best football coaches that you or I will ever be alive to see coach the game. And if he couldn't get any more out of Kenny Pickett, neither can anybody else, which made him an ideal backup to Joe Flacco. He's functional. He knows the NFL. He's got experience, and he's got experience in our division. I loved Kenny as a backup to Joe Flacco. If they had to decide to trade somebody, I would have liked to see Dylan Gabriel go. That's just me. But Kenny wasn't healthy. So they got to make the decision on who they can move. And the Raiders needed somebody, and they wanted Kenny. Fine, you take Kenny. You take him out of our division. Let him go play in Vegas. We'll see how he does. I have no problem with it. I liked him in the role of backup to Joe Flacco. He's fine. Dylan Gabriel at 5'10" can back up Joe Flacco. Shador don't need to get hit quite yet. Shador, we'll bring him along. We'll give him time. The time that we never have to give quarterbacks. We can go all the way back to Tim Couch, Baker Mayfield, all of these guys that we have taken all these years. We throw in week 1 and we destroy them. Yeah. Shador should be happy. He's sitting at number 3, that he's got time to work and develop and get better and figure out the speed and the size of the NFL. Because I think when they call his number, when they're ready for him to see game, that we are all going to be really happy with what we get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe that too. And I'm super excited. And, obviously you want him to play well, but also, he was getting out there in the community because, Eric, what was it? Who was it that said? Was it Eric Dickerson that said that the NFL colluded against, I don't know.
I have mad respect for Eric Dickerson as a player and as a person. I don't know what source told him what. Mm-hmm. Rachel, I have 4 daughters, It took me 6 weeks to get them to agree on one thing. I cannot find a single reason why 32 NFL owners would agree to blackball someone if there wasn't something in it for them. And there was zero in it for them to have Shador not get drafted. We could talk about Colin Kaepernick and what happened to him. And I absolutely believe that there was collusion. And I absolutely believe those owners wanted to keep him out of the league. But that was more about the color of his skin and the civil rights beliefs that he held and the movement that was gaining speed with him. I can understand that while I completely disagree with it, I can at least envision what them 32 old white guys all got together and agreed on back in the day to not let him play football again. In order for me to agree that now these 32 teams, and there are some younger people and there are some people of color in that room now when you're talking about the owners, they've now got to convince their coaches and everybody else. I can't think of a single concrete reason why you wouldn't want to get Shador Sanders drafted. It makes zero sense. So I'm struggling to believe what Eric Dickerson said when he says he knows that there was collusion, because I don't know why there would have been. And I certainly don't know why, if there was, the Browns would have been the crazy wild team to take him. That feels like a Jerry Jones move. It feels like a Jerry Jones. It feels like a Dan Snyder if he still owned the Commanders. It feels like an owner with more clout than Jimmy Haslam would have been the one to buck the system and go, no, I don't care what you say. I'm taking it, right? You see all the men in this league who have domestic abuse and violence charges against them that still have jobs. Teams don't care. They don't have a conscience. They want to win. And you can't tell me there wasn't an owner out there who sat there and thought, well, I'm not going to let them tell me I can't take him because he's good and we're going to win with him. I never thought he was worth a number 2 pick. I certainly would have taken him way before the Browns did. When he was still there and we were picking in like the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, when we took Gabriel, I would have taken Shador. Like, I don't know why it took so long. I find it all very puzzling. But again, I can't come up with a compelling reason for why they would have all agreed to not do him. And I can't figure out why Jimmy would have been the one to say, oh, no, we'll do it. I mean, if that's true, right? And if Roger Goodell said no one's allowed to draft him, there's going to be some kind of punishment for that. If you're the team that took him, we've seen our fair share of horrible calls on the field. Could it get worse? Maybe that's why Jimmy said, you know what are they going to do to me? It can't get worse. The way we're treated by that. Well, hold my beer, Jimmy Haslam. We're gonna take a look at the officiating this year. And Rachel, this will be our recurring theme. Every week, if we have to talk about bad calls, we're gonna pose the question, is it because we drafted Shador? I may start doing a poll every week to see if this is what people think is the repercussions of Jimmy not listening and taking him. I just find it hard to believe that they all agreed and then Jimmy was the one who pulled the trigger.
Bad teams get a lot of calls against them, so
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah,
that I don't know. That might be kind of difficult to be able to differentiate because we get a lot of calls against us already. So
I know, but on the bright side, we'll have a computer spotting the ball this year and telling us if we made the line to gain. That'll be fun. I liked it in the preseason. I didn't hate it. Okay. The kicking rules I still don't understand, but I don't know why we kicked anyway. Because there's that box now, and if you don't, it has to land in the box. If it goes out of the end zone, you get it like the 30, or if it hits, there's a whole thing. I don't know why we kicked the ball. It ain't like we got a pass return or a kick return.
No.
We don't have our special teams are a mess. I think they should just get rid of kicking altogether. A touchdown should be 2 points. They should allow field goals. That's it. That's the only time you should kick the ball. Just place it on the ground and go. I ain't got time.
Yeah, I'm not in love with them moving the field goal thing back, and all that other stuff. I think that they should have left it alone. It's just like, like with Dre, we're coaching. They changed the rules So, and that was another thing that I struggled with when I officiated, the
Yeah.
changing of the rules. It's a completely different
you're-
game than what I played.
Yeah. If you're worried about injuries, then just on a kickoff, just give them the ball on the 25. There is no more kickoff. When one team scores, the other team gets the ball on their own 25 and done. Like if that's the genuinely why all these rule changes are happening, it's because you're worried about injuries in the kick return game. Then get rid of the kick returns.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep the punt, but frankly, on a touchdown, I would make you go for 2.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you have to go for 2. That's an option. On the punt was one of the rules I loved in the XFL, those side football leagues we had, is there was no punting. You had to go for it on 4th down.
Mm.
And while that will be painful the first time you go for it on 4th down in your own territory and you don't get it, the other team has to do the same thing, right? They have to go for it on 4th down. You're going to get a ball, in the red zone because they went for it on 4th down and didn't get it. So it'll even itself out. I just, if we're going to pretend that injuries is what we care about, then you get rid of the things that don't mean anything. Field goals, you still have people coming at you. Extra point, you still have people coming at you. You're still going to have injuries. I would get rid of the extra point now and just make everybody go for 2.
So what about kickers? Kickers, they don't know more jobs.
Then go play soccer.
They get laid off.
Everybody, we got rid of Dustin Hopkins. I didn't think that was going to happen just because.
I know.
See, I don't even know how to say his name.
Schmidt,
really? Yeah. Schmidt.
Yeah.
He had a nice field goal. I was there. It was beautiful. I'm just,
So has he been there all training camp?
Yeah, he was here last year too.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Dustin Hopkins, he came here that first year and he was an amazing field goal kicker and it's progressed since. And you're not even able to make extra points.
Yeah, he's struggling. I don't know there's something going on in his head. He needs a sports therapist to figure that out. I still love Corey Bajorquez. He's the only punter in the NFL I know by name, but I love me some Corey Bajorquez. So, he's doing fine. He's overworked and underpaid, frankly, for what he has to do. If you look at how many times this team has to punt.
Yeah. He was selected to be a captain. Congratulations. That means your peers felt like, he does a heck of a job since he's been here, Yeah. So, his peers felt like, what he did enough. Because, it's kind of rare for, like those type of guys to be captain because they're not appreciated and stuff like that, But, congratulations to him because without his work, it doesn't matter anyway because the Browns, can't score anyway. But, he tries to put defense, in better positions to be successful. And, it didn't really work last year.
He does what he can do.
Since he's been here, So congratulations to him for being named one of the captains,
Yep.
I think that's awesome. So, so Joe was named to be the starter, of this team, and that's fine. Dylan Gabriel, I don't even think he 5'10", Kate. He tiny.
It said 5'11" on one of the things I read, and I'm like,
but they be lying.
Is that Canadian measurement? I don't know how that works.
They be lying. So
you know what? We have a different offensive coaching staff now. Maybe they will design plays that will open up lanes for him. Maybe they will work with the offensive line to create lanes so that he can see where he's going. Maybe they'll do more RPO. We should have a decent run game. We've got 2 or 3 really nice running backs. We'll see. We'll see.
Quinshawn Junkins, that hasn't been resolved yet either. So
they're in talks. That's all I keep hearing is they're in the negotiations are hot and heavy to get his contract done. Like, dude, week 1's in 10 days.
Right. Don't rookies not make that much anyway? What's the problem?
Well, yeah, exactly. A rookie contract shouldn't be. There's not that much to negotiate. The pay is the pay. So the question is offset language and things like that. If the team cuts you and you get picked up by someone else, so let's say I'm working for you and I make $100,000 and you fire me and I go get a job for Chris and he only pays me $50,000. You still, the offset language in my contract says you still have to pay me another 50 so that I'm whole at 100.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to give that to rookies. And they're certainly not going to want to give any guaranteed money in that rookie contract to someone who's had legal issues.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they were real or not, they have to do their due diligence and they have to protect themselves. And I think he's better off just signing whatever rookie deal they can get him to sign, playing for a year, proving his worth for a year, and then having his agent come back and try to renegotiate something next year. You need to show me a little something after what happened in the offseason or what didn't happen or what allegedly happened or what all that mess was. Plus, now you haven't been in camp. You haven't played in the preseason. We don't know what your skill level is right now, how rusty you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just sign, get your butt in there. Quinshawn, sign, get your butt in there, show them on the field who you are and why they should pay you, and renegotiate next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we need help in that running back room. So, Kate, we only got a couple minutes left. We only got 5 minutes left.
My watch says I got to go.
You got to go?
What do you want to talk about? Don't maybe talk about the Guardians, Rachel. I can't do it.
Well, let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. So Max will be out 3 to 4 months. And
the Browns signed Donovan Mitchell to the practice squad.
Yeah, wasn't there something with Donovan Mitchell? And they were like, that's not the right Donovan Mitchell. It was something, I forgot what it was. But Max Strus is going to be out. Darius Garland is going to be out. So 2 of your starters are going to be gone, as you try to make it past the second round this upcoming season. So, what are your thoughts about that? And who do you think, should be able to get that playing time?
I don't know.
They got rid of Isaac Okoro.
They did. They did. So the Browns signed Donovan McMillan, but somebody that was tweeting out the additions had Donovan Mitchell in their head. And then the memes with pictures of him were hilarious. Of him, they photoshopped him into a Browns uniform and shorts, but his basketball shorts, but with a Browns jersey on. We used it, Rachel, back in the day, we joked about LeBron signing on to be a tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you don't want to play basketball anymore, go across town and you play tight end. I love Isaac Okoro. I know I'm in the minority on that, but I do. I have a lot of concerns about the health of this team for this year. Sam Merrill, Craig Porter Jr. I don't know. I mean, Jared Allen's back. DeAndre Hunter's back for the whole year. I mean, that's nice. We got Larry Nance Jr. Like, he was here before, right? Like, he was here and then he left and then he came back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's been here a couple times.
You like Carlos Santana?
Yes. So I don't know. I mean, we got Donovan and Darius back, and we got Jarrett back. I guess everybody
had surgery, so we don't got no Darius for a while.
When are we getting him back?
I can't remember. But yeah, remember
he out
on his toe.
I knew he had that, but I thought he'd be back.
Mm-mm.
Oh no, I got
missing a few months to start the season too.
All right. Well, if I can't have Darius starting the season, I'm looking at the roster. I mean, it's going to have to be Craig Porter Jr. At least he's got some experience. Mm-hmm. I don't know Tyrese Proctor. I don't know what his game is like. I can't stand Lonzo Ball. He can go sit on the bench where he belongs.
I forgot about him.
Yeah. I'm going to call him Dre since we forgot about him. Craig Porter Jr. is who I think they'll have get started. We'll see how it goes. I just feel more confident in him, even though so let's talk about what, from a coaching standpoint, are we going for size or are we going for speed? Because, Craig Porter Jr. is 6'1", Lonzo Ball 6'6". If he wants a bigger forecourt, if he wants a bigger set of guys out there, he can switch between the two. If you've got Jared Allen and DeAndre and Larry out there, you got 6'8", 6'9". Do you need 6'6" in your point guard, or can 6'1" run the point? I think 6'1" can run the point, but I think philosophically, coach likes to size up and play bigs. And I think you may see more Lonzo Ball than you'd like to. I think they'll have Porter in when they need speed and Ball in when they need size.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. Well, the beginning of this basketball season is going to be interesting. But Cleveland Kate, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I had a great time. Thank you to Andre Griffith, former Ohio State player, son of Archie, two-time, Heisman Trophy winner, Archie Griffin. And, shout out to his son, who I think is Deontay.
Deontay. Yeah.
And
he's so funny because they call him a rising senior or a fifth year. They listed him as a redshirt junior.
Okay. Yeah.
That means he's a senior. Whenever you're looking at stuff and it's there a redshirt freshman or a redshirt sophomore, that redshirt is one more year on top of their year.
Yeah, so
translate that for you.
Deontay Griffin on Saturday. For Cleveland Kate and for the First Lady, we out of here. Go Bucks.
Ooh, ooh.